you're showing up to a new area in Eastern Oregon. You don't know much about it. You're out to locate. What or you don't? I mean, you're assuming there's elk in this basin, but you're locating. Let's hear some sounds. Let's talk through your strategy for entering that hunt.
So a lot of times, say we're walking out to a landing. There's crooks, crannies everywhere. You're trying to get into these crannies, and you don't know much about it. I'm not the type of guy that steps up there and bugles. That's just not my style. In my opinion, there's a lot of people that's the first thing to do. They step up there, they bugle. They hear that a lot. I'll take my tube and I cow call through my tube, a long, drawn out cow call. You can hear that, and it's trying to get a little quieter for this, but I'm pushing that pretty hard and dropping my jaw and just yeah, and you can hear, just like a locator bugle is going boom, boom, boom down through these nooks and crannies, and a lot of times I'll get them to go off that, and then I give them time. I sit there, my legs crossed, and I just listen, and I listen and listen and wait, and then I'll do it again, cow call. And maybe in a different direction, but sorry, I dropped my call. Very important. But maybe in a different direction, like maybe there's something right here, and then I'll step up and I'll get into my bugling. So let me see.
And that cow call you were doing, that's a mature cow. You're not trying to calf call or anything like that.
Nope, no. And if it's a real tight environment, it's real tight, and I'm like, man, there's probably a bull in here. I may start off with the cow call without the tube. But just general rule of thumb, my favorite thing in the world is get out. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna cow.
You're gonna blast it. Do you think? A lot of times people think that's too much, too intense, too loud, too fast. Obviously you don't think that. They'll sneak in. They'll be like, real quiet.
So I have a good friend that I guided for, and we were talking one day, and I'm up there calling, and he's like, you're being really loud, and I'm like, that's how I turn over rocks. I get bulls to bugle that other people won't, and I've cow called like that, and they'll bugle from here to 50 yards away. You're just like, oh, he's right there over the hill. It's what it is it's just getting in their face, in my opinion, and it's not an aggressive way, right? It's a cow call. It's just getting in there. And so my friend, when we were calling, he's like, maybe we shouldn't do that. So I didn't do it I got in my head. I didn't do it for a day and a half, and we didn't hear a bull for a day and a half. Like, okay, and it's a very high pressure area, and that's it. You would think that in a high pressure situation, you may want to back it off a bit. And there's definitely places that you should do that. But for locating bulls, my favorite thing is to just try and get in there.
I've noticed that. I have noticed that. I can anecdotally agree with you. I have noticed that when I overthink, if I'm in I overthink my calling, and I over critique my calling, and you come off cautious, and it sounds faker, or it doesn't sound real. When they're acting like elk and relaxed, they are loud and annoying. I don't know for the listeners out there, if you've ever had them walk by your tent in the middle of the night when they're relaxed and they're all talking.
Yeah.
It's loud. It branches, brush. The cows and calves are annoying. The bulls are they sound like dinosaurs. Right.
And they're just a long drawn out cow calls too. A lot of times when they're happy and excited, they're bucking and kicking. You'll see them out there, and I've had people say in other states, which we don't necessarily know about. We don't have the wolves, right?
Right.
So like in Oregon, they say the cows don't talk as much, which I don't know about that. But I've definitely heard cows in Idaho. I've heard cows in Montana. I've heard cows in Nevada that have gone nuts too. So that calling tactic has worked great for me, and it's just like one of those things, you pick and choose what you like. But
it seems like a lot more of those cow fests like that happen where there's larger groups.
Yes.
If you get some of these areas in Oregon or wherever you're hunting, where there's like 5 elk here, 4 elk here, 6 elk, there's just less talking altogether because there's not as many elk.